I'm always thinking of you. I wish I could see your face one more time. Love you forever, Adam.
Oh, that's a lovely message.
Up to 70% of schools are dealing with a bereaved child at any given time. This programme shows how school can play a vital role in supporting bereaved pupils. At Christmas 2004, Heron Primary School in Gloucester was struck by tragedy. Over an 8-day period, 3 parents died. 6 pupils in school were bereaved. Head teacher John Coles was faced with a huge challenge.
Obviously the initial reaction was one of devastation, although we anticipated that one of the parents may die during the Christmas holidays. The first reaction was very much to inform as many of the school community as we could do, and therefore it was really important that we had an established ring-around system so that staff, teaching assistants, admin staff and also governors were made aware of the deaths immediately.
John also delivered a message of sympathy to each family.
It was just so reassuring to think one of the most important things in my children's life is going to school, and as a parent, knowing that the headmaster was straight away on the ball and thinking of me and my 3 children.
Kevin has 3 sons, Matthew, Adam and Daniel. Their mother died of cancer. The other 2 parents who died had also been seriously ill. So in the previous term, anticipating a death, John Coles had called in the bereavement charity Winston's Wish for advice.
I think one of the greatest fears that teachers feel is it's not that they don't care. I think they're often passionate about kind of feeling for the child, but they're very worried about saying or doing the wrong thing. And so sometimes in that climate, nobody says anything. And that can leave the child feeling confused, especially younger children, when it's something as important to them as their mum or dad or brother or sister has died and nobody says anything. That just leads them with a sense that maybe this is a subject that you can't talk about.
Julie Stokes came to address a meeting of staff at the school.
Staff asked how they could perhaps best answer a child if they said, is my mum going to die? To answer it honestly and not lose the trust of the child was something we talked about.
And what is the answer to that?
I think in that situation we would say that we just don't know.
The school also had to prepare the pupils. Before Christmas, John held a series of assemblies to encourage them to discuss their worries openly.
Here's one. Missed my auntie's birthday. Sophie, do you come out and hold that 1 minute for me? Missed my auntie's birthday. Anybody got any ideas what I could do to... Because my auntie, I'm really, really very fond of this auntie. I shared those worries, genuine worries, with the children, and they helped me try and solve, or at least help me with strategies to cope with those worries. Do you want to read it out?
My friend is very poorly.
Yeah, my friend is very poorly. And at the end, I then having put the balloons back in the bag one by one, I took another set of balloons out where the balloons were smaller, and got the idea of sharing worries would actually perhaps reduce the worry that you might have. Very, very worried. Very worried. Yeah.
If you take them to the doctors, you could get a prescription for them.
Children can be reluctant to return to school after a bereavement, but at Heron, all 6 bereaved pupils came back on the first day of term. But before they went into lessons, John told their classmates what had happened.
I went with the class teacher and we talked to the children about the deaths of a parent of one of the children in their class, or in one particular class, 3 parents, and again stressed to them that it was a very unusual occurrence and that they needn't get worried about a similar occurrence happening to them. But then we also talked about how we could support their classmate coming back into school, what strategies we could use, and how those children coming back into school might react and how to deal with those sorts of reactions. The parents brought them into my office. We had I seem to remember we had a bit of a group hug.
I was
nervous and scared. I just didn't know what to do. And when we were in there talking in his office, just didn't know what to say. I was a bit shaky.
I just took the children out into the playground and they just drifted and melted in with their friends, and it was quite interesting. Within about 30 seconds, one of the boys was putting on his trainers and they were out to play football. So it was trying to keep it as normal as possible.
After a few hours, I was fine, but then I think sometimes I shouldn't be laughing and having fun, because my mum's just died, but then I know my mum would want me to have fun.
It's been 6 weeks since Matthew's mother died. In that time, his teacher has noticed some uncharacteristic behaviour. How has she responded?
By talking to him and saying, look, Matthew, can you see what's different in your behaviour? Can you tell me why you're acting in this way? And then going on to say, but can you understand why it's inappropriate? And I wouldn't let other children within the class behave that way. So, you know, that must apply to you as well. But also at the same time saying, I understand as far as I can what you're going through, and it must be a very difficult time, but, you know, this behaviour can't carry on.
Lucy has 3 bereaved children in her class. She's making a list of significant dates, such as parents' birthdays, for each child, so that she'll know when they might be feeling particularly upset.
Well, this day today is a special day because you can tell your teacher why. And then maybe, again, in that class you might like to make a card, or you might like to bring in a photograph on that day or something like that. Yeah.
When it's Father's Day, I'll put a Father's Day card on my dad's grave. Probably make a card and then put it down by the photo.
Down by the photo in your house?
Yeah.
That's a nice idea as well. So I think it's particularly important to know what the family's beliefs are. For example, one of the families had a humanist ceremony when the mother died. So it's important to know how the parents want to sort of talk about what's happened.
You checked your spelling scores?
When we were talking about Jack's dad and how his dad would have been proud of his spelling scores, I sort of turned the question around to ask Jack what he was thinking about where his dad was. He said that his dad was up in heaven and that he would be watching him. And then his dad would know somehow that he'd had a good spelling score.
How's Dad?
Yeah, he's fine, he's coping.
Just asking the question, are you okay today? And giving them the opportunity to talk when they want to. And I think that's the key for them to decide when they want to talk. It's not always when you'd expect it. Often it's incidental. It may be in the context of doing a piece of work with a teaching assistant that almost incidentally they'll throw into the conversation that something's happened, or they're feeling sad, or they're not coping with the routine at home or whatever. And I think it's picking up on those small bits of information and then keeping the school community informed and aware that the child's feeling like that.
My youngest, in his class, he just wanted to talk about his mum, so the teacher stopped the class. They all got around and he had 10 minutes and he actually talked about his mum, and he felt so much better for that.
Julie got to know the brothers before their mother's death.
This is your memory box, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just reminding myself, Matthew, it's about 6 weeks now since Mummy died.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing this, and I know that Mr. Coles is too. And you've been putting together some things that are important to you, that help you think about Mum.
Yeah.
Are you going to show us some?
Yeah.
Do you need to hold the lid?
The photo.
Oh, that's I haven't seen this one yet.
Done.
Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen that. It's beautiful.
So when you look at that photo, yeah, and you, because Mum's really hugging you, isn't she, in that one? What do you think about when you look at that?
All our happy times together.
To you, Mum, I'm always thinking of you. I wish I could see your face one more time. Love you forever, Adam.
Oh, that's a lovely message. And are these kisses?
Mhm.
Have you got kisses going all around the box?
Yeah, all the way around.
Wow. So you're sending a lot of kisses up to Mummy, yeah? Where do you think Mummy is now?
Heaven.
Heaven. I suppose in some ways it might seem quite strange to have a box, a memory box, and what does that mean? But the importance of that for a child, especially younger children whose memory is developing, If, for example, a 5-year-old, there's no photos of the person who died around the house, that's all packed away, and there's no physical reminders, and therefore no chance to rehearse stories or memories. By the time that child's 6, they'll have virtually no spontaneous memory of somebody who was really important in their lives. Look at that. Sometimes it really helps, doesn't it, when you're feeling very sad, to actually laugh.
It's just that's really special.
You know, for Matthew, when he talked about being elected to the school council and actually physically having a note where his mum had said how proud she was of that. Congratulations, Matthew, on becoming house captain and a member of the school council. That kind of impact on his self-identity, his self-esteem will be so important, not just now, but he's got a really important transition to make in a few months' time. He's got to go to a secondary school. Things are not going to be as easy and as cosy and as comforting as they are in the primary school.
This is Mum's scarf and her gloves.
Matching to that one.
The important thing for children is that they have a chance to share in a very safe way their memories. Does it? Maybe she used this on bonfire night, did she? Sometimes for the surviving parent, they can feel very naturally emotional when they hear those stories, whereas somebody who's a little bit more distant, like a teacher or like myself, you can hear that in a kind of emotionally modulated way, and that's what children need. They need a kind of safe person to rehearse things which for them are very important because their mum isn't physically present to tell them how great they are.
The mangled wreckage of a Jet Ranger helicopter was found in dense woods in the Blackdown Hills early this morning. There would have been little chance of survival. Police at the scene found the bodies of 4 people.
One of the victims of the accident was a 15-year-old pupil at Cleves School just outside Cheltenham. The school found out about his death on Monday morning.
I called an assembly together of James's year group, knowing that lots of students would be quite distressed, but not actually knowing at that point how many knew and how many didn't know. So I ran the assembly for the normal sort of 15-minute period, giving students some time to just be together and talk together and things like that. And I wanted to encourage students to go to their normal lessons and to try and get back to reality. However, it was quite clear that James's close friends and students who had experienced bereavement recently from members of family and things like that were not going to be able to do that. So we needed to set up, I felt, a place where they could go for the day so that they could be together, could talk, could begin to start the grieving process. Came to this classroom, it had the crucial ingredient of running water, which obviously most classrooms don't have, because what we wanted to do was we wanted to make lots of cups of tea and get students busy in making the tea and helping each other, but also to signify to them that this was a special day and a different type of day, because obviously they don't get tea very often. We started a memory board up here. It wasn't actually the board, it was just the beginnings of memories in order that students began to express how they were feeling, and that's something that they were very, very keen on as well. So we had lots of pads of post-it notes all around, and they were going up and they were sticking things on the main board. And as they went up to stick things onto the board, they could read what other students had written about James. And that helped because they could go up and they could put their memory on the board and they could read what somebody else had said, and they'd say, well, who wrote that? Who wrote that he really liked Burberry? And it kind of lightened the atmosphere just slightly, and it started to provoke conversations. And there were some funny memories and funny stories about James on there, which just helped after a very, very difficult start where there were lots and lots and lots of tears. It just helped to begin to remember the good things about James, and they've said since that they found that very, very helpful indeed.